cage. It was a ring, because that's what the Pancras organization did. It was a ring.
Yeah.
He goes, all right, here's the deal. And so Frank's not even listening to him. Now remember, Frank's is his adopted brother. I mean, they're
brothers, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, yeah.
He is the second coming of Ken. Ken was huge in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
So here I am, chubby dude, you know, and I'm in the ring, and he
You
goes,
got
all right.
some experience though. You're watching VHS and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Everything was like a first gear training, you know. So here he is. He's ripped. You know what I mean? And just he had been with Ken for over a year, and everything that Ken, you know. And here I am going, fuck me.
Yeah, here goes.
And Ken goes, all right, here's the deal. We're gonna do the Pancras rules. There's no punch in the face, but there's this, that, and the other. Kick, knee, choke out. He goes, by the way, there's no tapping. I go, for the chokes. I go, excuse me? He goes, oh yeah. He goes, there's no tapping. So they want to test you. What he wanted to know was, you're going to get your ass kicked. He expected it. He goes, and it's a 20-minute match. I had 20 minutes to last. If I didn't last 20 minutes, or maybe if I knocked him out, because I said, well, what if I don't know why I said what I said. It probably didn't help. I go, well, what if I knock him out? And I wasn't trying to be a smart ass. He goes, then it's over. Which I don't know. I didn't have any comfort in that. I looked at Frank when I said that. He looked at me. He was like, oh, okay. He's like that. He starts slapping himself, and I'm like, I didn't mean that.
Yeah, JK.
All right. So here we go, man. It was on, and we battled, and I was tired after 5 minutes. The adrenaline dump kicked in. I felt like I was throwing marshmallows. You know, I was, Joey. I'm telling you. And he choked me out twice, and they revived me, and I'm just kind of like sitting there, you know. And they go, do you want to continue? That's what they want to know. And I didn't know at that time.
Yeah.
I mean, the conversation I had with him wasn't actually prior, it was afterwards. Because I asked him, why do we do all this? Yeah. I want to know if you had what it took.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that at the time. So he goes, do you want to continue? And I don't know what was going on. Like, yes. I got back up, bounced off the ring ropes. You know.
You look like a bobblehead going around up there.
So he was just going to town. He was slapping me all around, man, and I was trying to get him back, and I remember catching him. I finally got one in, you know, I palmed him right in the face, and that gave me, there was a little confidence builder.
Yeah.
So I went after him, and I had it, man, and you know, anyway, we went at it for 20 minutes. I'm lumped up, I know, and the next 4 hours were like calisthenics. They called them 500s, and it was a series of moves and things I had to do. It took me 4 hours. I wasn't off the hook yet. And I remember Ken taking Frank out, and it was actually like a little strip mall where they were at.
Yeah.
And I remember him taking him out, and I could hear him say, how could you let that fat fuck
hit you
and last? It was weird, man. I was taken back by that.
So you're almost thinking like, did they just fly guys out here to kick their ass and fly them back? Or something?
It's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
You know, it's a little bit of both. And he said that, and I was like, did I just hear that?
Yeah.
You know, but I was too lumped up, and it was too surreal. It was weird. You know what I mean? That whole experience, what I went through. And I just kept going. I remember Jason DeLucia, he knew I heard it. And, you know, he just keep going. You know, that Boston accent, just keep going like that. And I was doing back bends. I kept landing on my neck, and I remember Frank or Ken going, don't land on your neck. You know, I've never done a what do you call it?
Like a gymnast back?
No, like the wrestling, a back bridge.
Oh yeah.
I was doing that. I kept landing, and I just kept going. I was trashed for 2 or 3 days. For 2 or 3 days, but it was over, and there was a moment there, like I did it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Now what, right?
Yeah.
Like, I did it.
I did it. So now what?
Yeah.
Yeah. So back then, I was very undisciplined.
Yeah.
I was lost. I told you, and I didn't know if that's what I wanted to do. It was a weird. It was one of the bigger regrets.
So so you got initiated, and then what is next? What did you do next?
Yeah. So he said to me, okay, he goes, all right, here's the deal. He goes, here's the deal. I go, okay. He goes, you made it. He goes, you're too big, as you can see, and you know what we wear. I go, yeah, I gotta fit in those. He goes, you gotta fit in those, you know, which are Speedos. I didn't know that at the time, you know.
Yeah.
I go, okay, and he goes, so I'm gonna put you with. His name was Scott. I forgot his last name. He was a former Oakland Raider.
Oh, jeez.
He had blown his knees out.
So professional football player.
Yeah, but he was Ken's student for years before, you know, and he was, he would fight in Japan. He goes, I'm gonna put you with him, and you're gonna go on a diet, and he goes, because it's not just good enough that you could, let's say he goes, I could care less how well you perform. He goes, you gotta look good, you gotta be marketable.
You gotta look the part, yeah.
You do, and I'm looking at, you look at Ken, you look at Frank, and all these other guys, I'm not the guy, I look like Big Country.
Yeah, they're tan.
You know, the fighter Big Country.
Yeah, yeah, Roy Nelson. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I looked like at the time, and so, you know, honestly, it wasn't that. It was just it was the lack of discipline in my life leading up to it, and I was having second thoughts, and I remember Scott telling me, just stick it out, man, stick it out. But I wasn't sure. It wasn't hard. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know why I didn't do it. And it might be just because that's how I was in my life at the time. It was start it but not finish it type thing.
Yeah, dabble and...
It was that. Maybe I got what I needed out of it, you know, at the time. So anyways, went back home, went back to my bouncing gig, you know, and trying to pick up where I could to train and just trying to find my place in life, you know. And then, you know, fast forward, 97 comes around. I thought, my buddy at the time was like, man, I would love to do that. And we just started talking about it, and I felt there was a regret there. And I went back out.
Oh no, round two?
Round two. But Ken said to me, he goes, you don't have to, well, here's what led me to go out there. There was a couple things. One, we had met a guy that was a bodyguard to the Stars. Remember, I wanted to have that, a life worth living type job.
Yeah.
And he had said to me, we were in Chicago, when I was floating around, he goes, I think you would be a really good bodyguard to the Stars. Of course, I thought you had to be an ex-Secret Service agent.
Yeah, yeah,
You know?
right. Marine.
Yeah, exactly.
SEAL.
Some special ops or, you know, operator.
Green Beret.
No, that wasn't the case. It's, you know, it's those, you know, who you know. Anyway, so I remember he was having this conversation with me and a buddy of mine, and he was out in LA. He goes, come out. If you come out, I'll get you a job. And I thought, oh, wow.
Deal. Yeah.
So while I was out there, I thought, you know, I remember thinking, oh, you know, the whole Ken Shamrock experience. And at that time, Ken was blowing up. Lion's Den was blowing up.
Yeah.
You know, at the time.
Was he in the UFC then? Because that
Who was that?
97?
Ken?
Yeah.
Yeah, Ken was he was in the first one in '93.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Right.
So in '97, he was established.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He had kind of blown up, and
Frank too, by then, or no?
I don't know if he was. I know he was fighting for the Pancreas organization then, because he was the king of Pancreas. He was building his name and brand in Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think he might have. I don't know. I don't recall that, but I know he was fighting in Japan. But Ken had gotten offers for movies and all that. You know, and just because of, again, how he looked, he was the real deal.
Yeah, professional wrestling. Yeah.
All
He
that.
was big then.
So he was blowing up, and then I thought, maybe I'll try this again. So me and my buddy decided that, you know, a week prior, we started running, jogging. Of course, Ken told me at the time, because I didn't jerk him around, you know, there had been guys that jerked him around in the past. What I mean by that is they would, you know, be there for 6 months, and they had, you know, whatever, they had a drug problem or whatever. They just didn't follow through. Because I was so quick about my decision not to do it, he says, if you ever want to come back, you won't have to initiate again. Well, I thought, wow. I thought, hey, while I'm out there, let's see if that works out.
Yeah.
You know? So I call him up. I said, yeah, I'd like to come by and, you know, do this again. And he goes, okay. And okay. So we made it a trip. So me and my buddy hopped into his Jeep, and we drove all the way to Northern California. First stop, right? And just kind of check it out and see if, you know, because if the bodyguard gig didn't work out, I'd do this. Yeah. So, I mean, we drove out there, and I get out there, and Ken goes, yeah, you're going to have to initiate again. And I'm like, but, I was like, whoa, Ken, you said I didn't have to, you know, I didn't have to do that. He goes, yeah, I got too much going on. Well, I remember when I was out there at the time, there was only 4 of us in the early, you know, in '93, in the Lion's Den, 5, excuse me. And he said, it's changed, and it had, because I remember going to his gym, and there was just tons of people.
Yeah. So,
yeah, round 2.
Oh.
And he goes, okay, we've decided your friend's going to fight Jerry Bolander. And I said, okay. And he goes, you're going to fight Pete Williams. Pete Williams is the guy that kicked Mark Coleman in the head in UFC. I don't know if do you ever see that fight?
I think so.
Oh, I mean, he kicked him right in the face, man,
Mm-hmm.
and dropped him. So Pete hadn't fought then, and I knew what I was in for. You know, I knew what the rules were. I wasn't as nervous, you know, but I certainly wasn't prepared, just like the first time. You know, that was par for the course of my life at the time. So he goes, okay. He goes, Tommy, you remember, you know the drill, right? I go, anything changed since then? He goes,
Yeah.
Nope, nothing's changed. I go, okay. So what I did was, Joey, I backed myself up to the wall. It wasn't in the cage or the ring. I backed myself literally up against the wall, right? And I said, oh, here we go. And we went at it. And I did not move because I was afraid. I was just like the first time. The first time I didn't know, but I knew I get tired.
Mm-hmm.
And he started throwing punches at me because he was trying to take me down, and he couldn't take me down. And it just time was ticking. And it was on him, just like Frank. It's on you.
Tell him to beat you. You don't
It
have
is.
to beat him.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He has
It's
to
like-
beat me.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
when a champ defends his title. Like pretty much the contender has to beat him, has to take the belt for the
Yeah,
most part.
it was
you know.
expected of
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
You know, and you could see the frustration. So he started left hooking me.
Mm.
You know, and I remember Ken going, Pete, please don't hit him, don't punch him. He just was calm about it. I'm getting, you know,
Yeah, you can't really stand.
So I knew what to do. Finally, he, this out of fatigue, he pulls me off. Now he's getting, now they're telling him, don't fight him on the wall, pull him off the wall. And I'm battling, I'm doing the underhooks thing, and I'm just trying to last because I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna load on him, right? Because I kept asking what the time was, and they wouldn't say. You know, I was just trying to be smart about it, you know.
Save your energy.
Yes, because I trust me, I was hot. He had
Yeah.
popped me a few times, and I was like, okay, you know. But I was smart enough to know, if I don't finish him, I'm gonna get finished.
Yeah.
So I was waiting. Give me 2 minutes, and I was already wheezing. So anyway, he pulls me off. He finally takes me down, and drops an elbow, right on my nose. I'm swallowing blood.
Yeah.
And I'm hot, man. I mean, and I'm like gasping for air. I didn't quit, because I know not to quit. I'm gasping, Ken stops, I go, I didn't quit. I'm like that, I go, hey, I didn't quit, like that. And we go at it, and because he goes, no, we're done. I go, no, I didn't quit, Ken. I'm like, come on, man, like that. So they let it go, and I didn't know what time it was. And he hits me again with an elbow, which he wasn't supposed to. And I spit in his face. I just hawked a blood spatter all over him, man. I was hot.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
More, not just because of that, because he was dominating me.
Yeah, and he's doing stuff you're not supposed to be doing.
Because he was just trying to finish it.
Yeah.
He sees this again, a little thick.
Yeah.
Thicker
than a Snickers.
Yeah. So anyway, he stops it again, and I didn't quit. And I go, come on, what was the time? And it was like 18 minutes and something. And he goes, he goes, you made it. Or I had to kind of talk him into it. I was like, Ken, I didn't quit, And he goes, all right, you made it. I'm a little disappointed in saying this, but that was such a long time ago. I've learned so much about myself since then, and I only stayed out there for a month.
Yeah.
I did it again. It was just that, that.
You just wanted to go get your ass kicked or something?
No, I know. It would seem that way. Joey, it was just a lack of focus and discipline in my life at that time, and I think I was just grasping for straws. I just wanted something that was, fulfill me, and I didn't know what it took to do that. I didn't realize that, there's going to be some struggle. I didn't understand that concept of anything worth having is going to be probably
very hard to get.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, and tedious. And I didn't understand that, and so I stayed out there for a little bit, and I trained with them, and did my thing, and I had met a girl prior to leaving out there, no, not that time. I just came back home, and I just realized, I didn't have it mentally what it took, and that's my story about that, man. So.
Man, that's crazy. I get that though. I mean, that's happened to anybody. I've done that myself with with things too. You're like balls deep, or you throttle in 100%, and you're like, I'm burned out. And then you're like, I kind of missed that. I want to do that again.
Yeah.
It happens, and then hopefully that passion catches and stays with you, right? I mean, eventually it happened with you.
I don't know. That whole thing with hoping.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think, like I said, I think when it comes to self-improvement or anything, again, worth having, and we'll talk about self-improvement in that regard, we romanticize the end goal, the end, I was romanticizing having a six pack.
Yeah. But
Right?
then what, right?
You know, flying, jet setting. What do you do for a living? Well, I fight in Japan.
Yeah.
You know, those are the things I thought about. Whereas, you know what I mean? And having my hand in victory and, you know, knee barring somebody, whatever I was going through at the time, and that life, you know. I didn't understand the middle part. And that's what, you know what I mean?
That's
I
where you
lacked.
spend most of your time.
That's
too, yeah.
where, right?
Yeah.
And that was the tedious part, and that was, you know, that's what, you know, like again, it was every day was tough, even when I was there for that month. And, yeah, so I didn't understand those lessons till later on in life. So, yeah, it was one of those big regrets. It was a learning experience. And, yeah, that's, like I said, that was the end of that. That was the end of that chapter of my life for that. So.
That was it for fighting. So then after that, you started training strictly jiu-jitsu then?
Yeah.
When you met Jeff, or
No, it was Sue.
Okay,
yeah,
that's right.
2000. I think it was 2000.
You
I
said
met
I'm
Sue.
done getting punched and kicked in the face.
I think at that time it was gaps. I love martial arts and I
Yeah.
love jiu-jitsu. I love the idea of it, and I thought, man, I realized time was ticking in my life, you know, and so I decided to, you know, let's give it a go here. So somebody had told me about this guy. He was in Carpentersville, and I thought, okay, let's do it. And I started training and took it very seriously. I mean, I was there every night and training on the sides and all that, and I did that for a year. And then my default mode, my default mode, well, that was, okay, my default mode kind of came back again, and I stopped for 2 years. And then about 2004, I would say, yeah, 2004, I met Jeff again, and we just kind of reconnected, and I was with him ever since.
Was he a purple belt then in 2004?
I think he was I think he was a 4-stripe purple.
Okay.
On his way to getting a brown.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you were still, I mean,
I was
technically
a
a
white
white
belt.
belt, yeah.
Yeah, I was a white belt, and then I was with him for like 6 months, and I tested for my blue.
Yeah, but you had years of experience.
Yeah,
It's
off
just
and
a matter
on,
of-
right?
Yeah.
No formal, just putzing around type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, so I finally got my blue belt, and I think for the first 2 years, because of I worked at Chrysler, I was working part-time out there, and some odd jobs here and there. My wife, my girlfriend at the time, I asked her, I said, would you allow me to train full-time? She goes, what's the end game? I go, I don't know, I just want to be good at something. I just said that to her. I go, I just want to be good at something. I love this, and I just want to be good at something. She goes, let's give it a shot. So everything I made went to either that and paying the bills, my portion of it. I mean, there was no savings or nothing. And I completely immersed myself for 2 years, Joey. I mean, I was...
2 a days pretty much?
There was.
Yeah.
I had this beat up purple neon, ended up having 400-something thousand miles on it. I only put $1,000 into it.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to Dodge Neon.
Yeah, right?
Wow.
The floorboards where my feet were, there was actually a hole there. And
So you're just Fred Flintstone.
I did,
everywhere.
almost. Almost, yeah. So I just did that for a while, and I did some tournaments, but I just trained and trained. I just loved it.
Just love learning the art.
I did, man. Just, yeah, everything that kind of represented, you know, that, you know, back then it was, you know, the jiu-jitsu lifestyle was talked about back then.
Oh, yeah.
And it was cool. So to watch my instructor, Jeff, he's young too, especially back then. He had this big 10,000 square foot, no, 5 to 10,000 square foot facility. And I just saw his life, you know. He taught jiu-jitsu, he trained it. And I remember, because I would go in during the day, you know, and he was asking people, you know, hey, you want to go get sushi? And I remember there being a beautiful day out, right? It was a beautiful spring day. And the sun was shining in, and we're training jiu-jitsu, and he had these green and blue mats. It was like we were training on the beach. And that was his life.
Yeah, his schedule was amazing.
It was,
right?
man.
Yeah.
Well, what I thought of it was, you know, there's
Yeah.
again that perception, right?
Yeah, there's a lot behind the scenes.
There
right?
was, yeah, there is. You know, I know now. And I remember he's like, yeah, he was trying to figure out where he was going to go and have sushi. Because after you know, he was going to have sushi, hang out with the guys.
First world problems.
Right? And then he was going to come back and do it all over again that night. And I was just like, that's the life.
Yeah,
You know
that's
what I mean?
I want right there.
And I knew that's where I was going.
That's
know.
you decided you needed your own academy too. Eventually?
What's that?
Is that when you decided you needed your own academy too?
I wanted it, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he had asked me a few times. I remember him calling me up. It was such an honor for him to go, you know, course, maybe I was all that he had at the time. He'd call me up and go, "Hey, can you take over class?" And I'd be like, "What? Absolutely."
What are we doing?
What do we? Yeah, I got it. I got it covered. I mean, it was such an honor for him to ask me to teach, and so that went on, off and on. And I knew at that point that the academy thing was on the horizon. Somewhere, I was a blue belt, almost purple. I knew that eventually that would be the direction I would go, for sure.
Yeah, and that's a kind of a good way to do it too, because you're getting the experience teaching under someone else, so you have someone that can correct you and,
Yes.
and reinforce that. And then when you do, like, years later, had your own academy, you've got plenty of experience. So you're not just
Absolutely.
boom, like, I got my own gym, now what?
No. I just followed his lead.
Yeah.
In the beginning, I followed his lead. He was and he still is, such a technical jiu-jitsu practitioner.
Mhm.
Very technical. I mean, he's on the smaller side, and most of the smaller jiu-jitsu guys are very technical.
Mm-hmm. Well, they have to be, because they can't muscle everything,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I vowed, being a bigger guy, that I would carry that on.
Mm-hmm.
Because I also knew that being a bigger guy, being technical,
Yeah, it's
now,
real dangerous.
right? So you're even more dangerous for sure. So so I just wanted to keep going with that, and I finally got an offer. Jim McKenzie, he's my student now. At the time, Rockford Kickboxing Jiu-Jitsu.
I remember that on
Yeah.
Alpine, right?
You remember that?
Yep.
Yeah.
I went into a couple classes there, but I was not quite ready to sign up. I think Cal was training there, and he
Yes.
yeah, he choked me out like my first time coming in there. I was like, you know what, I don't think this is for me, but because I'm thinking everybody in there is like on his level, and at the time he was probably one of the more elite.
He was, well, it depends. His wrestling carried him through.
Yeah,
No, I remember because I brought him into it. I remember my son was doing kids wrestling,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember seeing all the banners.
Yeah, Cal Ferry.
Oh yeah. I mean, he was on
Harlem everywhere,
right?
Yep.
He was, he was awesome. High school
I
wrestler.
just remember his front headlock. I was like, oh man, he got a death squeeze on me
He
right now. I am, I don't know if I want to come back.
He was fat, and he attacked.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? He was a three sport athlete.
Mm-hmm.
So that wasn't his only thing, and he was that successful at wrestling.
Yeah.
But yeah, I asked him. I go, "Hey, you ever thought about MMA?" And he smiled at me because you could tell he had thought about it.
Mm-hmm.
And we had brought him back to the academy back then, and I think I don't know how many fights he had, but
He had some pro fights, right?
Yeah,
Too,
they might have been pro.
Mm-hmm.
I know his last fight he lost against UFC Ricardo Lamas.
Oh
He
yeah,
had lost
it's a
to
big
him.
name.
He was taken. I mean, actually, the IFL. Do you remember the IFL?
I don't think so.
It's when they tried to make an MMA team. Each state had their own
oh
city. Do you
yeah,
remember that?
yeah, okay, yep.
So they were having tryouts, and Cal wanted to go.
For Illinois or something.
Yeah, I forgot what. I think it was Iowa or something.
Right, yeah.
Chicago Red Bears. I forgot what it was, but Cal went there and he took it to Ricardo, and so yeah. Anyways, that was his last fight. He ended up losing that fight, but he just didn't prepare. He thought that Ricardo was going to bring the same thing he did for those tryouts.
Mhm.
Ricardo took him very seriously.
Yeah.
So, but that, I mean, Cal, he was on a roll for a while. What a great experience.
Oh, dude,
for him,
and a guy like that's never lost. I mean, it's
Yeah.
kind of harder to recover from too.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, I remember he was heartbroken when he lost, but that was
Yeah.
just his competitive nature.
Yeah, super competitive. Yeah.
Absolutely. So,
yeah, that was awesome. So Rockford, that's where it all started, right? Right there in Alpine. Was that the first?
no, it was on State Street where the Tulios.
Oh, okay.
That's where I was. Yeah, that little.
Dang, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was,
yeah.
yeah, I think it was a purple belt then. Jim, who had his own business at the time, or he was on his own, decided to he asked me, he goes, "Would you like to take this over?" And I thought, yeah. Well, they were paying, which wasn't the big thing for me. It was more, I was getting a little burned out driving to Crystal Lake twice a day. So
Yeah.
I decided to take that one day on, and I did, and it was that was another pivotal point for me, because it was just such a rewarding thing. Now I felt like they were my students.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And yeah, I did that for a little bit, and I remember asking Colin. He was one of the owners.
Mm-hmm.
He was more of the behind-the-scenes guy.
Yeah.
He didn't have any martial arts experience.
But he just kind of ran numbers.
Yeah,
all
yeah.
that, yeah.
He did that, and I remember saying to him, because they had moved to Alpine at the time, I said, "Hey, look, I'm just letting you know now, that I don't know when, but sometime soon, I'm gonna do my own thing. And I just want you to know that. I wanted to be upfront with you.
Mhm.
And he goes, he respected that. He says, I hope you stay, but I understand that if that day comes. And about another 6 months went on, and I had asked him, I said, would you ever want to get rid of your end of the academy? And he looked at me, he goes, yes. I go,
Yep.
really? So he did. I paid him what he wanted, and I was 50% owner, and then Frank was the other owner. Unfortunately, his wife was ill, and he didn't want the responsibility because he wanted to focus on her and on her, and I ended up having the whole thing.
Yeah, wow.
So I thought Rockford Jiu-Jitsu, kickboxing Jiu-Jitsu was a little generic,
Sure.
So I decided, it was core Jiu-Jitsu, core sports.
Core MMA, I
Core,
remember.
it was all that. I was going through all that,
Uh-huh.
and I thought, oh, core combat sports. There's no rivalries to it, man.
Mhm.
It just kind of rang with me.
Sounded good.
Yeah, that's all it was, So,
CCS.
that's it. Yeah, so, started that, a lot of growing pains with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think a lot of people don't understand how much that goes on behind the scenes too. I mean, you're out there teaching a class for an hour and they think that's your whole day, or 2 hours or
That's
whatever.
what I thought it was. Remember I told you?
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out, we're gonna, let's go do sushi.
Yeah.
But I couldn't do sushi because I had to clean the place up, I had,
You gotta make phone calls, you gotta collect
do.
money, I mean,
All that.
you gotta keep the lights on.
Absolutely.
You gotta be able to afford that sushi.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. That end of it, I think you did a great job of actually making it, making it work. And
Thank you.
from where it was, because I've seen you were at Alpine. This is where I first saw you,
Yeah.
right? Were you at, kind of behind Peak Fitness?
Yeah, yeah.
And then where'd you go next? You went to the Sport Fusion next, or no, not Fusion, just the.
It's changed names like 6 times.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You went out to Love's Park for a while, then you were out by the Speedway for a little while.
Yeah, the reason I went there is because the sports complex was
Yeah.
going under.
Oh, okay.
And I was nervous that I was gonna come in there, not because of a lack of me paying my bills. I was nervous just because I had heard rumors of what was going on.
Yeah, the whole building.
Yeah,
I mean,
and I didn't want it to have,
your mats are gone or
no.
something.
So I just was a little proactive about it. I went and I shared a space with Olympic gold medalist Joe Williams,
Yeah.
wrestler.
Yep.
Yeah, so I shared some space with him for a little bit, and then that was okay.
Mhm.
And then, I don't know, about a year later, maybe less than that,
I think you moved back, right?
I moved back.
Yeah,
Well, I got a
yeah.
phone call, and they said, look, we're under new management. You were always in great standing with us.
Mhm.
Why'd you leave, type thing? And I told him why. And he said, well, look, are you happy where you're at? And I said, it depends.
Yeah.
And so they made me an offer I couldn't refuse. I went back out there, and I've been there ever since.
Yeah, that's great.
Absolutely.
So, what do you